If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here on what will be a wonderful, marvelous show as we welcome you for this Monday edition. Start things off with our good friends and people we respect greatly from the Cayman Islands Veterans Association. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
And welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here in this edition of Talk Today as we invite you to be a part of our discussion, show you a deference and appreciation for the service and sacrifice of our veterans. In the studios, we have the Vice President and British Commando, right, Mr. Paul Ebanks. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on board.
It's my pleasure, and I always enjoy being here. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And as much as I enjoy speaking with Mr. Locks the Banks equally, sir, welcome. Thanks so much for coming and sharing with us this afternoon.
Well, I'm glad we could be here. Of course, we're expecting our President, Andrew, here in just a little bit, and maybe another member. But I guess we'll carry on until he gets here.
Well, as I say, the show must go on. But that's the thing, You get a chance, especially now, as most of the schools, the primary and secondary schools specifically, come into a close. Students are taking their exams, they're going into summers and different activities, but they're studying and they're preparing the social studies and history and aspect. Some are looking at different periods of history, and a few students that I've engaged with who have as their history wars or wartime, or the idea of particular maybe U.S. presidents or British generals or the like, and you get a focus, and sometimes you forget, Mr. Loxler, how the world could be so much different today. If things were they went one way instead of the other.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you contemplate what the shape is today, just drop back a little bit and contemplate what it could have been or how it might have been had people not fought for what they believed in, democracy and freedom, and gave their lives, put their lives on the line.
But equally too, the thing that as I look, and these are people who have, maybe because of the countries they were involved with, the positions they held at the time, what they did following the wars, whether they're in the US or the UK, let's specifically focus on those two, they've shaped, history since. But how many of us appreciate how many Caymanians, not just the percentage of the population, but the physical number, Mr. Paul, who went to the UK, like your case, or the US, like Mr. Loxley, to serve, man, to give it all?
Yeah, I think it is very important that Caymanians have served. In fact, we'd like to have, for a theme this year, lest we forget Caymanians have served. And that is so important. If you think about a small little island, but we were on the correct side of the axis, and whether you are creating a democratic way of life or you're protecting that democratic way of life, there's good things to come for that, and we only have to look at Cayman that has a democratic way of life and all the good things that go with it.
And as I listen to you, we look back to, in this case, World War II, but what we see even early, I call them wars, but maybe conflicts, wars since, from Korea to Vietnam to the Gulf Wars, to presently, Caymanians and their descendants are still serving, actively serving. Mr. Banks just shows that level extends to not just being a steward in your community, but perhaps trying to participate somewhat, as Mr. Paul shared, with the global community in preserving democracy.
Well, I think if you look back, you'll probably find out that of all, you want to call them major scrummages, major wars, major conflicts, you'll probably find that a Caymanian, turtle meat and cornbread Caymanian, has been somewhere in the midst of it, standing up, defending democracy, freedom, which we all love and which allows us to have what we have here today.
The fact that someone's props, and I'm I'd say probably more guilty, because with the work that we're doing with Ray Bank now, you start to appreciate that there's a history that we don't appreciate. And as we go through some of this research, we're discovering that there are Caymanians who have gone back into their family trees and have found that Caymanians, not people who came elsewhere, Caymanians. As we start to look, one found that there's a connection between their ancestry and when the U.S. were fighting, not just during World War I, but before, when they had a conflict and they decided, hey, what's going to happen here in the Civil War? What would be the Caymanian? So very interesting, Mr. Loxley. The connection, as well as that idea that fighting is equal. Now,
we want to welcome our president, Andrew McLaughlin, and he'll pick up here, I'm sure, pretty quickly. We get him in the mix.
Almost, and then Mr. President, I almost want to say Commander in Chief. I have to respectfully ask you, because it seems like we're going to move you across from that seat as comfortable as you get. We're going to wait for you to sit comfortable, and Susan is going to direct me, but I think she has to go to the committee first, and then she's going to determine which position is better, and maybe move you 15 degrees north. And so we'll come to you in a second. But for those of you who are joining us, we are doing a number of things in the studio differently these days. I think one, we're searching for a new host, right, Miss Susan? No, she said, don't say that. No, that's not true. We got a television, online, looking live stuff happening somewhere about in that cyberspace. But you can still get us on the radio, as I prefer that. As we talk with the Veterans Association, Mr. Loxley Banks, Mr. Paul Ebanks, and of course, we'll have Master Sergeant Andrew McLaughlin join us shortly. We can cue him up. But, Mr. Loxley, when the people are looking at it, can we pause, Miss Susan? Maybe should we do that? No, not yet? Okay, we can work it out. The Veterans Association, how long has the body been organized? Have you been an association? Nope, not yet, she says. Can I get this, Mr. Mike?
Well, the Veterans Association has been around for a long time, and it actually one of the founding members of it was Mr. Thomas Russell. So he more or less, as far as the Cayman Islands Veteran Association, he more or less, was, I think, one of the founding members of what we knew as the Cayman Islands Veterans Association. But it may even go back further than that without not being really organized.
Yeah, a loose association, because we think back to not just the service of the Caymanians in the Home Guard, but coming forward, and there was always that idea. I enjoy listening to Mr. Steve Macfield, who talk about my interpretation of sort of the Cayman militia, people recognizing the importance of good governance, using today's language, the idea of being organized, having a sense of defense. They saw early on in its recorded history that we taught having an established church and pastoral care was important. So there's a formal request to that with that education. But equally, how do you defend and provide for good governance and law and order?
Well, picking up on that, if you look back through biblical times, what, conflict, I guess you call it, was one of the main vehicles to keep order established, or to move from one order to another one, which they probably thought was better.
Mm-hmm.
So I think throughout the human race, the existence of the human race, that's the way it's been. I think if you even look in the animal kingdom, you'll see how they usually establish the law and order, So
I don't know, Master Sergeant, that's a segue to you, man, in the animal kingdom. he sees the alpha male, I don't know. Mr. President. Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having us.
All right. When I look at it, and I look at, again, students, not just young boys, but young boys specifically, and they're playing, they tend to organize themselves in a way. Maybe nowadays, because of the political correctness, we don't play cops and robbers, and we don't play on those games that maybe our parents and grandparents played. But the fact that we see that service today encompassing all, I think, is important. And then that connection to Cayman, Master Sergeant, makes it quite telling for us. For the Veterans Association, as we get into our discussion, what are some of the things you want the public to understand?
Well, the Veterans Association has been around quite some time. We date the filing back to 39 years, 1979, when the Articles of Association were founded. Most recently, we've just registered for a nonprofit organization in cooperation with the government. We are a very small organization, self-funded through donations and benefactors, very loyal benefactors. But we have a large task because we have to take care of aged veterans that did service to the island, to the Crown, to other countries, the allied countries, and they oftentimes didn't have the benefit of future planning, like pension and stuff like that. So they find themselves in their declining years where they need help the most, which is usually what happens, and there's no one to turn to. And that's why the Veterans Association is still there.
Something, and I'll ask you to guide me, and Mr. Paul. Here is a scenario. We're seeing a global conflict unfolding. Young men, specifically from here, who feel that calling, to go and serve. There's no career plan. You're not going to school, getting a job, working for a company 50 years, banking your pension, your health plan, and then retiring with your golden parachute. I mean, the best you're hoping for is that you come back in one piece. Now, that's not to be insensitive, but that's the reality, right, Mr. Paul?
Yes, it is a very good thing to serve, and Caymanians have served, and they continue to serve. And that's the message we want to get out to everybody, to let them know that Caymanians continue to serve. It is important, not just that they go and do service with another country, but it is what they stand up for, and that is freedom. They stand up for a democratic way of life, which we enjoy here in the Cayman Islands. So, hats off to those who still continue to serve.
Let's Loxley.
And there are probably a lot more Caymanians out there serving than we really realize. I mean, we've been trying to get a handle on that whole picture. We've got one Caymanian serving in the Pentagon. And Andrew, maybe you might like to pick up on it. He's going to be our featured speaker at this year's gala in October. Mm-hmm. Now, isn't that something? Bringing a Caymanian back here to be the featured speaker at the Veterans Gala in October, who currently is serving in the Pentagon. One of the, I guess the should I say, the best organized, or at least the most recognized fighting apparatus in the world.
All right. Well, maybe when we come back from the break, Master Sergeant, could we ask you? We'll do this like a cliffhanger. We talk about that gala, but we just show you how we've been effective. We see Caymanians overseas in many organizations, but here is in the military, right? The Pentagon, most people would quickly recognize it, at least if nothing else. So, Master Sergeant, maybe we'll give that task to you when we come back and talk more about it. We invite you to be a part of a discussion. This is not just about history, it's about showing deference to those, but also appreciating that we have because of that continued service and sacrifice, especially of our own veterans. So please, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Kia Soul passes it to Kia Sportage. Sportage makes a stylish move over to the sleek Optima. Optima then flicks it across to the 7-seat Sorento. Sorento heads it. Goal! Kia!
It's time to score with the entire 2018 Kia lineup at GT Motors. Get up to $3,000 cash back. The first 50 customers will score a World Cup replica football and mascot. Hurry, it's the best thing that's happened to car buyers all year. The 2018 Kia clearance sale, only at GT Motors on Godfrey Nixon Way. Kia, driving football fever.
Optical Outlook is so wicked.
They're brilliant. Tremendous.
So hot.
They're awesome. Yo, them cool.
They're sweet.
Just ice, mate.
I love them like cooked food.
Head to Optical Outlook and find many designer brands for men and women. Sun safety and eye health care never look so good. They'll be able to help you find the best fit for your face and budget. Call 746-2020 and book your eye exam today. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook and make sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Pirates Cave and Eatery.
Tune in Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m.
Exclusive.
Radio Cayman's Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio, featuring Will Sinatra. Enjoy a mix of pop, hip-hop, dancehall, and soca, and an entertainment trivia section.
Another proud sponsor of the Super Jam Show.
Pirates Cave and Eatery.
Bring your family, satisfy your appetite, enjoy the ambience.
Kick off your summer at Celebrate Cayman Summer Festival.
Our people, our culture, our history, our heritage, our future.
Enjoy live music performances, local foods, arts and crafts, history and fireworks. Don't miss this enchanting evening, Saturday, June 23rd from 4 p.m. until midnight along the Georgetown Harbor Front. For more information, including vendor and participation opportunities, visit celebratecayman.ky. The Celebrate Cayman Summer Festival, Saturday, June 23rd. Admission is free, so come out and help us to celebrate Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Toll free with the compliments of floor, or you can send us your thoughts via the WhatsApp 925-3261. In the studio, a chance to truly not just show love and respect, but hopefully laugh and learn as we talk about the Cayman Veterans Association. Mr. Paulie Banks, thanks for joining us, Mr. Loxley Banks, and Mr. Andrew McLaughlin. As I look at the three of you, I see a couple of things. Andrew, obviously you're in good company, handsome young men, Yeah. So good for you, man.
Yes.
But during the break, Mr. Banks, or as prior to the breaks, Mr. Banks was sharing that there's the gala coming up in October, and we've got a special feature as like a speaker. But before we get there, respectfully, for people who may be thinking about coming to the gala this year, heard about it in the past, and they want to make plans, just a quick preview of the gala.
Yeah, October 20th at the Marriott Beach Resort, 7 Mile Beach, we will hold the formal military dinner. We call it the gala. And it's a celebration of not only those who've served in the uniformed services, but we also applaud those who serve in uniform, period. The police will be there, fire officers will be there, and just about anyone else that we can get there in a full uniform. It's a dinner held to military etiquette standards. And a lot of people don't realize it when they first get there, that once you go through those doors and the doors lock behind you, you now belong to the president of the mess. And he uses his vice president to talk between you. And a lot of people are very surprised because you lose special privileges like getting up and going wherever you want to go. There, we have what we call fines that are imposed during the dinner. And those are when you breach military etiquette. And it is really a lot of fun. You see a lot of people laughing because some of the rules can catch you by surprise.
You know, and it's the fun part, but it's also, too, I think we perhaps guide me. You become accustomed to taking so many things for granted. Here are adults, and adults who are respectful are probably used to being able to decide what they want to do when they want to do it. So you're out to dinner with family, and you maybe got to get up and go take a phone call. It's an important call. I mean, the guy just called you and told you what number played. You need to, sorry, just kidding. and you get up. Maybe it's to the restroom. Maybe it's just to see the person on the table across right from you. And so you get up, Mr. Paul, thinking that's okay. And it would be normally, right? Normally.
And we also enforce chivalry because we've had ladies get up and exit the room for whatever reason without permission from the president of mess. And when they come back, they find out that the gentlemen at the table are held responsible.
and the thing is, I mean, I almost want to ask you to give us a crash course, but sometime later on, prior to, for those who think about going, so that they'll have at least an insight into the do's and don'ts. You know, many people, I don't know if they still do it. Long ago, they go to dinner for the first time in a formal setting, and there are all these utensils, different glasses. If you're wise, you'll ask someone who knows, well, which fork do I use first, and which glass is for the water, and which one is for whichever. Some people just go and don't pay any mind. You learn. But it's going to be October 20th?
October 20th, starting at 6 p.m. And we know that people have concern about parking, so each year we have valet service available. It's an incredible evening. All the way up to the governor has said that it is their favorite event of the year.
It is fun, man. It is fun.
It's a serious reason why we're doing it, because we're raising funds to take care of the veterans that have come before us. But it's also a fun time of enjoyment and fulfillment. And then afterwards, when all the serious stuff is done, we do have entertainment, and we continue the night and dance the night away.
All right, so hopefully people will make a note on their calendars for the 20th of October. And
the special speaker, we're still holding that back, but the special speaker, his auntie is actually part of the government right now, Miss Barbara Connolly, and he will be speaking about his journey from Cayman. Many people remember him growing up in Cayman, all the way through United States Marine Corps boot camp to his position now in the Pentagon. So that will be a very interesting story to hear that evening.
And then the thing is, sometimes we don't, maybe Ms. Loxton and Mr. Paul, maybe it's partly because of the humility many times in our people. It's hard sometimes to imagine when we see somewhere people as was a fellow told us one braggadocious or somewhat maybe, right? But there's that humility. It's probably the training that comes through being part of the military. But there are Caymanians that maybe your nephews, maybe your uncles, maybe your brothers who go on through boot camp, for instance. We don't know the stories, or we don't know the stories because we're that close. But here's a chance for the wider public, Mr. Loxton.
Well, I tell you, there's a lot of stories that come with a boot camp that would be
some good, some bad.
Would be funny. Because as serious as it is, sometimes the things just happen to occur. And I'll just relate to you just a simple thing. Every night, this was in training, before we went to bed, we had an inspection. And this one night, we were getting ready to go to bed, and there was I got to be careful how I put this. There was a recruit in the flight who had a habit of putting on a lady's stocking over his head after he went to bed. Well, this night he put it on. I don't know what he thought that the inspection had really happened. And when the sergeant came around and saw this gentleman or recruit with a lady stocking over his head. It was really, and just about all of us started laughing, and that created another scenario, which, you know.
You pay for that, huh?
Yeah, yes.
No, Mr. Paul.
What the military does is discipline you, and when you're disciplined, you can meet life's hardship. It doesn't mean that the hardships don't come, but you're able to overcome them and carry on with your life, really. So discipline is the big thing about being in the military. But you have to be in there at an age where they can bend you and shape you, and it is with you for life, really.
That discipline, Master, that's something that perhaps many people don't appreciate, how that shapes you. From maybe the way you look at your own sort of health and well-being, but the approach you have to your family and to your work and to your community. You always see that service above self mentality.
Definitely. And it bleeds over in everything you do. For the last 9 years, I've been the chief safety officer at the Airport Authority, and I have watched the response units, the emergency response units. We have trained together over those 9 years, and just in the last 2 years, we're seeing the fruits of that type of discipline. We're all learning one system of emergency response. Everybody has their piece, and even though you want to do everything for everyone, we need you to do your piece and hold back to let the next person do their piece. And when everyone does that together, you come out with a beautiful benefit. We just had an excellent exercise in Cayman Brac. There's actually a terrorist action and a active shooter, which is very prevalent. They had one in Fort Lauderdale. Somebody walked in the airport and just started shooting for no reason, innocent people. So we practiced this scenario, and we found ways that we can make our response better and make our airport safer.
And this is where I think that discipline sort of furs in. Here's an exercise, and pray that it never happens. But when you look at the global landscape, it could be something.
We must be ready.
Yeah, the response can't be piecemeal. It can't be a Band-Aid, just a PR piece. It has to be real in order to be able to perhaps respond to that potential eventuality. Mr. Wall?
Yeah, I mean, Cayman is, say, very small, but we are big far as being known out there for other reasons as well. And it is when an individual or individuals take advantage of your democratic way of life that they can cause so much damage. So we must be prepared at all times, whether that's intelligence or whether that is, having people that can respond and respond correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew mentioned the training, and it's not far-fetched because something similar to what you overlaid there happened at the airport, I guess 50, 55, 60 years ago. And it was the Owen Roberts Airport right there. Right.
That's an interesting part of history that we hear bits and pieces, and because our aviation history is rich, but at that time, it's important. It's a good stories there, Mr. Loxley.
Yes,
One day there'll be a book.
And you look at what we were in the 60s and what we are today. How much more attraction there might be for something of that nature. And we've talked about this on various occasions. Cayman, hopefully that we have got our security parameters or security firewalls, blankets, or whatever you want to call it, in place, because they need to be.
Well, this is why perhaps, as I speak to you as veterans, and I believe more than anybody else, you would be the first to pray that there'll be no more wars and conflicts and the like. But perhaps as we speak, we recognize, amongst our own people that we have to be prepared. It may be in a uniform service, it may be in another way. It may be through some sort of Coast Guard to be formed, but be able to offer ourselves, for that service to the country. Gents, when we come back from this break, as we conclude our discussion, maybe tell us more about the gala, talk about some of the other things, and remind the people of how we can get involved with the Veterans Association. Yeah. So please, stay tuned for Talk Today.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Accidents can happen at any time and can leave a strain on you and your family. Be prepared with Workman's Compensation Insurance from Fidelity Insurance. Our brokers can help you meet your government requirements and ensure that you are covered should an accident happen. Don't leave it to chance. Email Fidelity Insurance at insure@fidelitycayman.com for a free quote. Get Workman's Compensation from Fidelity Insurance and get some peace of mind. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm truly, truly honored to be not just sitting in the seat today, but especially today, to be able to talk and hopefully learn, but equally show my personal appreciation. The idea that people are fighting for freedom and democracy, and I can, if I wanted to, right now, I may get chastised for it, but that's about it. I wouldn't get anything else. If I wanted to criticize a government, my elected government, my appointed government, the government of another country somewhere, I think I could do that. Now, what the fallout would be, well, it would be, but it wouldn't be what it could be had it been different. So in the studio, as we talk about the Cayman Veterans Association, honored to have in the studio, the president, Master Sergeant, Mr. Andrew McLaughlin, and I always like to say this, Mr. Paul Ebanks, not just a North South, but a British commando. Wouldn't it seem almost sometimes, and Mr. Loxley Banks.
Defending the beach in North Side.
There you go. You see that? Well, best players, we roll with it. But please, share with us some more, because I think you're taking this opportunity and hopefully involving as many of us so that we start to appreciate that, what does it say, not only too much is given, but much is required. Mr. President, Mr. Ebanks.
Well, Mr. Ebanks is going to fill us in on a competition that we're doing during our fundraising event this year at the schools.
Okay, thank you very much. It's always been the desire and the need of the veterans to get involved with the schools, because that's where our tomorrow is. So when we had permission from the director of Education Services to get involved, and basically what we have is VQuop project, and VQuAP standing for Veterans, Questions and Answers Participation, with the emphasis being on participation. We started last year, and it was good. We didn't have enough competitors, we thought, so we're doing a real push this year to get more schools involved. We also want to be able to tell everyone or advise those kids that their four parents serve. And basically what we've done now, we've produced a shield, which the Edna Moyle Primary School now holds, and that shield is made from Cayman mahogany. Now, personally, I thought this was so important, and the mahogany is over 100 years old, so we have a little write-up, a history on it, and it is hanging in the Edna Moyle Primary School in Northside for now. But the competition will be out again this year, and schools will be advised. We will pose the question and answer, which all has to be okayed by the Director of Education. And we are hoping that we'll be able to do some pins, really, for those that have participated in the VQuAP.
Now, would it be that it'll be primarily for the primary school students, or can it go through to middle school and high school?
It goes right up the chain, which makes it kind of difficult to pose the question, because you're posing a question that maybe for primary schools and then also for the high schools. So it's really got to think about it and get the question right. But one of the things we're hoping for is that once they have their PIN, they'll be able to move from one school to another with it, and that's going to be very important.
Indeed. Now, would it be for government schools as well as the private sector schools as well?
It is for all schools, because remember, the private schools, they participate as well in the Poppy Appeal. So we go out to private schools, certainly all the public schools, including the BRAC.
As I listen to the idea too that this forms part of history and social studies and whatever aspect of the school curriculum that could form, so the students get an appreciation. But you're talking not just about the veterans and the participation in service, but the mahogany and the historical importance of mahogany to our country, the early industries and the like. That in itself gives schools and teachers an opportunity to learn more and to be involved, participate in history. It's all interconnected, Mr. Loxley.
Yeah, it all, fits in, dovetails, trying to educate the younger folks about our history, not only anything connected with the Veterans Association, but our general history. And a lot of that will dovetail in with some of the questions that we pose to the young folks during this competition. So it's a competition, I think, that will play well and into the educational system.
Indeed, and I'm looking forward to it. Now, this will start in earnest now. Is it continuing throughout, or just back when the school year resumes?
Well, the Poppy Appeal official start date is October 25th.
Right.
So we usually run it from October 25th out to like 10 November, somewhere out there, when it finally ends.
All right.
Armistice Day.
Opportunity as we go into the summer for students to be able to look forward with excitement to another part of that historical influence.
Andrew mentioned the Poppy Appeal. I mean, the Poppy Appeal, when I was in school, how many years ago? That was a long time. But we sold the poppies. We actually canvassed, should I say, the district selling poppies. Now, at that time, I believe all the funds that was collected actually went back to UK, to the what's it called, Andrew? The
Royal Commonwealth Ex-Servicemen's League.
Ex-Servicemen League. But now, all the funds that are collected here in Cayman stays in Cayman to deal with the assistance that the association renders to veterans in need. And so it's, the Poppy Appeal is very important. It has always been important to what's being done here for the veterans, and it becomes ever more so important. So it's it's important that we all sort of embrace that and get involved with it when it comes up.
And this year's an extra special year. If you could touch on, Mr. Loxley, on the anniversary?
Yeah, well, I think now I haven't been hearing too much about it, and here it is the end of June, but this is the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I. And, World War I was
brutal,
and it was determined, or I suppose had been predetermined, to be the end of all wars. Well, we know what happened. Actually, I guess it was 20 years after that, the whole world was pulled into one of the greatest conflicts of all times. And so it's important that we remember history, and that young folks coming behind us, has some familiarization with history, what got us to where we're at, and how we maintain it, because it's almost as difficult to keep the peace as to win the war.
Yeah. Sometimes more difficult.
Yes, it's more difficult, yeah. You don't keep the peace by keeping your mouth shut or going crawling up in a corner, because the way humanity is, there's always somebody out there looking for an opportunity to jump the fence and squash you.
That's why it's so important that we just stand up for what is right, really.
Yeah. As I listen to you, we can be students in the safety and almost sanctity and security of our classrooms, whether as high school students or even college students. Talking, maybe it's a book club, reading something about history. That's a historical account. We can read it and safely discuss it. But look at the changing global landscape. The meeting just last week. Potentially, it could go, as you say, Ms. Loxton, one way or the other. And what would that do to the, our safety and security? How would it affect our travel? Just simply moving within our own countries.
Our environment. The total environment.
And our environment. The economies are affected by it, without question. But are we seeing it from that perspective?
Well, I think another aspect that you have to realize in this, that, war in previous times, and I don't think that it's really changed that much, has been all about big business. That's when every communities are flourishing and struggling to stay alive, but they're still flourishing because governments are spending money they don't have, and everything is ramped up. But if you don't defend that freedom, then you're lost.
Yeah, that's just it. What they say, stand for something, you fall for anything, right? Well, respectfully, when we come back from this break, if we conclude the discussion and you guys share with us some more from us about the gala, give us an opportunity to remember the 20th of October isn't that far away. Today's the 18th of June. Before you see 2 turn runs, it'll be October. We can, Andrew, maybe
creeps up fast.
Yep. All right. When we come back, in a few minutes, and hopefully you'll continue to join us. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Community radio with a different appeal. The voice of the people. Security through adversity. Stuck on you. Radio for all time.
You're listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
We are Radio Cayman, and this is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Sing your praise to the Lord. Come on, everybody. up and sing one more hallelujah, give me praise to the Lord. United in Jesus Christ, we are the soldiers of the land.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
There's a meeting up in heaven, roll call. It's a name in the Lamb's Book of Life. Roll call, brother, sister, roll call. If you don't stop shouting, if you don't stop dancing, we gon' put you out of our church.
Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Your song flowed through my lips. Your work moved through my hands. Your thoughts stay on my mind. Live in me.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
A 45-year-old Georgetown man arrested for burglary in Snug Harbor has now been formally charged with possession of criminal property. He was arrested on June 13th in connection with the incident reported on April 11th. A residence on Palm Heights Drive in Georgetown was broken into and several personal items were taken. The man had also been charged earlier this month for another burglary in the Snug Harbor area in April and was on court bail. Good afternoon. I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines in News Elsewhere. U.S. President Donald Trump has attacked the German government's approach to immigration as he comes under pressure over his own crackdown on migrants. Mr. Trump said German Chancellor Angela Merkel's coalition looked tenuous. Mrs. Merkel is in the middle of a serious domestic row after defending her government's immigration policy. The Duchess of Sussex's father, Thomas Markle, has revealed his daughter cried when he told her he would not be attending her wedding to Prince Harry. He said he watched the event on TV from a B&B in the U.S. after having surgery. Mr. Markle also said he and Prince Harry had a conversation about Brexit. And Romelu Lukaku scored twice as Belgium proved too good for World Cup debutants Panama in the opening match in England's Group G. After a goalless first half, Belgium, ranked third in the world, finally broke Panama's resistance when Dries Mertens steered in a spectacular volley. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Water Authority Cayman's Survival Tip Saturday series is back. Throughout the 2018 hurricane season, the Water Authority will be posting helpful preparedness tips on our social media accounts every Saturday. Follow us on Instagram or like us on Facebook to stay informed on how you can prevent damage and minimize danger in the event of a storm. Be prepared, be aware, be safe. This hurricane preparedness tip is brought to you by Water Authority Cayman, suppliers of the world's most popular drink.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Thank you for joining us, and I know that you show equally, if not more so, the seeing deference and love for veterans, for their service and their sacrifice. As we talk about the Cayman's Veterans Association, President Andrew McLaughlin, Vice President Mr. Paul Ebanks, and together with Mr. Loxter Bikes. Gents, I truly enjoy being in your company, and it's good to be able to look back through history, whether it's a book or a film, whether it's some sort of documentary, or even somebody has written something and been influenced by historical outcomes, to read and see a perspective. But to be able to sit in the company of people who have affected it directly, man, it's an honor.
Well, I think we have been very lax in the Cayman Islands over the years of recording our history so that it can be preserved and keep it rolling forward.
Yes, sir.
And we got the Celebrate Cayman initiative that's come online, and I hope that they will really ramp it up, because there's lots to be celebrated and there's lots to be done. And
it's a way to build pride, but also to become knowledgeable, about who we are. And as you were sharing, and I've always looked forward to the tidbits that you give. But I remember having one of the co-talkers. He was just happened to be visiting here, a bona fide fellow from one of the Indian nations who served with the U.S., but who was here, during World War II. You're thinking, I don't know, Indian reservation? Not quite sure. Some West Wales may look like that, but this was my father goes, man, I used to make fun of it. But this was a guy, and he can, of course, he could only say so much, but you get a perspective.
Well, I've mentioned this before. There was a Caymanian, Denton Henning, who was a frogman, Navy frogman during World War II. And that was when diving was, you could say, it was still in its infancy as far as undersea diving. He was a U.S. frogman with the U.S. Navy, and he made several dives, many dives, in fact, on the run up to what was to be determined to invade Japan, where they had to conquer all these islands, the island chain going up, and the frogmen had to go in there and survey the harbors at night and
clear mines.
Yes, yes,
very dangerous. Very dangerous.
But that's the thing. See, those are stories that we don't know, or those who know, it's not shared as openly.
And if you sometimes I get to thinking about it. If you go back, kind of know anything about him, he grew up right there in West Bay, right where the dock is in West Bay. And I suppose when he left here, he could probably tell you more about the low-rim reef shoals and the squab bottom out there than anybody else, and to see it transcend into a Navy frogman.
There you go. Well, gents, as you tell us more about it, respectfully, we have a caller online. Let's invite this caller into the discussion. Sure. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the gentleman there.
Thank you, ma'am.
Respected gentlemen of the Cayman Islands. I sure respect the veterans, but I need to ask the president, is that Mr. Should I call him Sergeant McLaughlin, or what is his title?
I'm almost about to joke and tell you what his wife calls him, but that's yeah.
Okay.
Master Sergeant?
Andrew is fine.
Okay. No, I'm going to say Mr. McLaughlin, because
thank you.
I grew up in those days where...
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, you're most welcome, sir. We have two veterans in Northwest Point, young ones. I mean, that's where they come from, but they live in the States. And it's two sister children, female and a son. Mr. Loxley would know of them. I'm sure he know Anissa Wood. Her son Ron Wood. He's served in the U.S. military. I know he was overseas for many times, I think, in Afghanistan and about there. And also Anissa's sister Sita. She has a daughter. She not so long came out of the military. She also served overseas, but like I said, they live in and work in the States now. You were speaking about your veteran in October.
The gala, yes, ma'am.
The gala. That was the word I was looking for. I was wondering those that are that have served and still overseas. When I say overseas, I mean in the States. They're not living here. If they would be invited as well.
Yes, ma'am. All veterans are invited, and their an entry into the gala that night is free. It's $150 a plate dinner, and we have many benefactors, that companies in the island that actually buy whole tables to ensure that veterans don't pay to come to their own gala.
Oh, good. Thank God. There is some people that still remember. Well, I think Mr. Lockley would know how to get in touch with Anissa Wood from Northwest Point, Miss Gloria Crow, Gloria Powery Crow. That would be her daughter, both.
Yes.
Sita. And Sita is also her daughter, and they live side by side. Like I said, their children served from young till now in Afghanistan and places like that.
Well, the Veterans Association is open to any serving or anyone who has served served honorably in the military services, and we'd be glad to welcome in. In fact, we've got quite a number of veterans, and I think there's a couple of them living right down there in the area you call Northwest Point there currently, that we've been trying to get into our organizations. And here's an open invitation to you guys and ladies.
And they can all go to www.CaymanIslandsVeterans.org and get all the information and contact details so they can get in touch with us and we can keep in touch with them. I'm happy to say that we have 3 different forms of membership. When I joined the association 8 years ago, we were at 72 population. Now we're down below 50, maybe hovering right at 50, and some people have passed along and moved away. So we're opening our membership, and in alignment with other types of organizations, just like the Cayman Islands Veterans Association, you can now not only join as a member if you have served, but you can also have 2 different types of associate membership. If your mother, father, brother, sister, immediate family had served, you can also get membership into the association through that. Or if you're just a supporter, no one has ever served, but you love the military and you want to show your appreciation, you can also join affiliate membership in that way. And at the October 20th event, we hope to have a large inception of a whole bunch of people that would like to be associate members of the association.
And you can get in contact with any of us and go to the website, and we'll be glad to embrace you into the Cayman Islands Veterans Association, those that qualify to join.
Okay. Mr. Lockley, I'm not too sure if Anissa or Sita, the mothers of the ones that have served, have a computer, but I know you know where they live.
Yeah, well, if they contact me, certainly we can get them all the information that they need to facilitate whatever they would like to do.
Anissa of that, or Sita, or both of them.
Yes,
yes. And if say the dates again, please. It's October, and what date?
October 20th, Saturday evening at 6 p.m. at the Grand Marriott Beach Resort.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon to you, gentlemen.
And thank them for their service when you talk to them.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Paul, this is what people don't recognize, that it wasn't just World War, one, as Mr. Loxley shared, probably even earlier, World War II or Korea or Vietnam or, the conflicts in the Gulf, the other part. But currently, we still have, Caymanians who are actively serving.
And we are a small organization with a large purpose. We don't receive direct government funding. We rely completely on fundraising, and we only have 2 fundraising events each year. Coincidentally, they happen at the same time. We start with a poppy appeal with the pinning of the governor. That'll officially open poppy appeal. You'll see people at the supermarkets shaking tins, asking for donations. The most proud moment that I shared was at Bordentown Primary when I saw every student line up class by class to purchase their own poppy. Yeah. So those are the moments that you never forget. I was swelling with pride. As small as they were, they understood. And I mean, they were there to get their poppy. They wanted their poppy that day.
Picking up on what Andrew say, we do a lot of interaction with the schools, especially during the period where we're giving away the poppies, selling the poppies, whatever. And the interest that a lot of those young folks show is very encouraging because they want to know. They just need to have the information, need to have the environment to where they can soak it in.
Their questions are excellent.
Yes.
Well, that's why I appreciate, and hopefully as teachers and parents start to consider, the summer as a school year, there's a schools competition. For those who are not sure, well, be a part of the annual gala this year and realize, this is not 1918, this is 2018 now, so 100 years.
The sponsorship packages will be going out very shortly, and like I said, we have many companies that come year after year to support the veterans, and we're always looking for more help. You can buy one table, you can buy one seat, 2 seats. Some companies buy 2 tickets so that veterans can go. We have other companies that they have representatives come and fill their table, and they just have a blast all night.
And Andrew, I think maybe just give a little shout out, a little more coverage on that. The association has been registered. It is a registered.
Yep. Just recently filed as a non-profit organization.
It's part of that new non-profit organization legislation, which may be a good time to remind all of us who are involved to look at whether or not we should be filing.
Yeah, the deadline was 15th. It's already passed. It's never too late.
All right. Well, I'm hopeful that, even though October 20th is just around the corner, Ms. Loxley, between now and then, not just to talk about the gala, but to talk about the importance of democracy, you equally, collectively or individually, that others will join us in the future?
Well, we're hopeful that we'll see some activity here pretty soon on the celebration of the end of World War I anniversary here in the Cayman Islands, because there's lots to be celebrated about that. We had the Yates brothers and quite a number of other people deep in that conflict. And in fact, some of them came back home here and served very important roles after their military service. Just a little side note to that, we came across some research where they both were awarded commendations, but they did not receive it until some 14 years after the war. In fact, there was a very big community celebration right down in front of the old, what's now the museum, the old courthouse, when these commendations was awarded to these gentlemen.
All right. Well, thanks very much, Mr. Loxley, Mr. Paul, Andrew. Thank you all very much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
And
always for having us.
Always my pleasure. To our listeners, October the 20th, if you're part of a company or an organization, not just sponsor tables and contribute and be a part of the Veterans Association, but get involved. Do what we can.
I hope you're going to be there. I hope you're going to be there, Dwayne.
Yes, sir. I will. Okay. If it's okay with you, I will publicly commit now. God's willing, good. If
Excellent.
I'm alive, I will be there.
But they'll be.
So you just behave.
There'll be no special privileges. You have to watch your behavior too.
Oh,
don't leave the room without permission.
Again,
and don't wear a pink tie.
Well, your friends tell you secrets. October the 20th. I will endeavor see if I can tease out of Mr. Loxley and Mr. Andrew some little etiquette so that when we go there, we are on our best behavior. All right. When we come back, it'll be some more talk today, so please rejoin us.
Satisfy your World Cup cravings at Merengue Town. Now under sole ownership by Mr. Johnny. $15 bucket specials during the game. And after game time, it's party time. With Karaoke Wednesdays, the Friday night party with DJ Bambino. And on Saturday and Sunday, get your sweetness on with DJ Sugar. Enjoy free finger foods and soup. And don't forget about the fried fish specials. Only at Merengue Town. Located in Georgetown on Boilers Road off Walkers Road. Merengue Town. It's time. Feel the rhythm. Time to feel the vibes. It's time for Merengue Town.
Did you know that recycling collection containers are located island-wide in Grand Cayman? The Department of Environmental Health program is an integral part of DEH's waste management responsibility in the Cayman Islands. Start your recycling program at home today. Put your cardboard items in appropriate DEH recycling containers at all Foster's supermarkets, Kirk Market, or Hurley's Grand Harbor. Help keep Cayman clean. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about recycling, go to www.deh.gov.ky.
What do heroes really do? They show you how to tie a tie, change a tire, or how to grill that perfect steak. So do something for that hero in your life, your dad. Treat him to the sleek and stylish Samsung Galaxy J7 Neo from only $152 at any Flow store. When you activate a Flow postpaid mobile value plan with tons of data, minutes, and text, you get a chance to win the Big Green Egg Grill. Choose Flow Mobile. Coverage, value, speed on Cayman's fastest 4G LTE network. Flow. Visit a Flow store today or online at discoverflow.ky. Terms and conditions apply.
We are in the hurricane season, and knowing what to do after a hurricane can be as important as preparing for the storm. After the passage of a hurricane, seek medical attention if it is needed at hospitals and clinics for those persons who are injured. Do not touch power lines and cables that are down. They may be active. Report them to 911 or the utilities emergency hotlines. Broken tree limbs should be removed from around homes or buildings if possible. This hurricane information has been brought to you by Breeze FM and Radio Cayman.
Wow, looks good. What is that?
Chicken chair.
What did you just say to me?
Chicken chair.
I am not a chicken.
Whoa! I said chicken share. It's from KFC. Bucket of 12 hot wings, 6 pieces of chicken, or 8 tenders. KFC chicken share. Just $12 each.
Oh.
Want some chicken, tenders, or hot wings?
You're sharing your chicken share with me?
The new chicken share from KFC, just $12 each, and it's finger-licking good. Dine at KFC Baytown Plaza, KFC Shedden Road, or KFC at the Strand.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8837 or 1-800-534-8255. Really, appreciate the opportunity just then to have, the company, as we did, to have been able to talk about not just the Veterans Association, but the importance of it, their absolute service and sacrifice. And as Mr. Loxley and Mr. Paul and Mr. Andrew reminds us, the 20th of October is their annual gala. You're looking for an evening out that's going to be different. It's going to be fun. It's not going to be, somber. It'll be sobering. Well, maybe not literally, but it'll be fun. And you'll have a chance to appreciate not only, what they have done and what they're doing, but maybe to appreciate how we take for granted so many of our freedoms. As the association president, Mr. Andrew McLaughlin, Master Sergeant, shares with us the idea that you're there and you're, under military etiquette. So something as simply getting up from your seat. We all do that. We get up to stretch. We go maybe at the table across the room, maybe next door, maybe, the person just a little bit further on, just to pass a message, just to say hello. That's nothing wrong with that, is it? Well, we know that in schools we ask students to be excused. The teacher's in charge. Well, maybe it's not that different in a sense. So if you're looking for a wonderful evening out, excellent food and wonderful company, well, contact the Veterans Association and get your ticket. Maybe your company, your group can sponsor a table. Come as as one part of your team building exercise. Maybe just do it to support the veterans. October 20th. It's now open line, 949-8037, or toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. Or you can, certainly send us an email if you so choose. you can email talktoday@candw.ky. If you give us a call and share your thoughts with us, hey, we're looking forward to hearing from you as you wish. Now, if you want more information on the veterans, you can, go to their website. For those who want to, the Cayman Islands Veterans, .org is their website. If you just Google Cayman Islands Veterans Association, it might come up as well. And we invite you to share with us. Open line here, 949-8037, or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Ms. Susan reminds me to invite you to log on. Many of you like to, see what is being said. Well, those of us who believe radio is to be heard, not seen. But if it's simulcast, well, YouTube, Google Radio Cayman, and you'll find out somewhere about, and you can go right ahead and watch it. But online or otherwise, welcome your contributions. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. In the spirit of this idea of, this is World Cup season, and a fellow was sharing with me that as he watched the games so far, I said, is it a case that he's looking at it through jaded eyes, from the perspective that as the teams take to the pitches, certainly some of the outcomes thus far haven't been what he was expecting. Who would have thought, Germany would have lost, as great a team as Mexico is. Maybe it would have been at least a draw. Who would have expected to see Argentina go down the way they did? Portugal is without question a good team, but probably the best match so far. But one would have expected to see that end the way it did. What would the game with Brazil? Well, now, so he's asking the question, is this more at stake? Is it more about the economics of the game? That led to the discussion this morning of this idea of independence. And he put forward the view that he was hoping that in his next encounter with a couple of the elected members of the Legislative Assembly, to ask them to seriously consider whether it's through the constitutional office or whether it's through some other means, to look more closely at what it would mean for the Cayman Islands to be an independent nation. If it's not possible, could at least the country look for greater internal self-government, more self-governance, a greater sense of autonomy. We've elected people, we've demonstrated, and he said unless there is something that is happening that is out of the sight of the populace, the little allegations and accusations that happen during election, so they're small, they pale in comparison to the whole scale frauds that you hear alleged globally, even in the big nations. So for the most part, we seem to have a good machinery in place. And with that, we must be able to continue to advance. So he's thinking, what would it mean for the country if we were to look at being independent? What would it mean if we were not necessarily independent, but had more say in our affairs, internally as well as externally? You said that you talk to some people now, they may still hold fast to that view that they have always had. The country should always be independent, or they may be, nope, independence is a bad thing. But he's finding more and more of his sort of friends and circle of friends at least open to the idea that the country needs to look at being a little bit more autonomous. Some are somewhat reluctant, he said, to talk about independence for different reasons, but for the most part, they're sharing that it is important for the country. Now, what is your view? And do you think that independence would be something that would openly destroy the country in its financial sector? Are you, when you call, prepared to say, well, you think independence would mean this? This is why you're advocating for it? Do you think it'll be that the politicians and would-be politicians are groveling for that level of power and influence and control? So We don't believe that they have what it takes to lead the nation. What is your view? Give us a shout. 949-8037 or toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. For those of you who are equal to sharing your thoughts on our email, well, let's talk today at candw.ky. Let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon to you, Sterling Dwayne.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
I missed, just fine. I missed Mr. Loughlin, Sergeant McLaughlin, and Mr. Ebanks here, veterans, wonderful.
Yes, sir.
You have to never cease to thank and praise the gentlemen who served. As they said, freedom comes at great price and at cost of lives, many lives. To enjoy the freedom we enjoy, particularly in the Western world, as we see what's happening in the Eastern world over here, the violence. Yes, I also have family. One of my grandnieces who left here at the age of 7 months old served in the U.S. Marine Corps for many years as a sergeant, master sergeant, and she was in the Pentagon the day that horrible thing happened in 2001, and she lost several friends in that incident, mercifully. Her life was spared. Several others also. I think they lost a Marine general who would be the highest ranking officer killed in any war, I believe, in the United States since the Civil War. I don't think any general was killed First World War or in the Second, but I could be wrong. Others would know more about that. And I have a grandnephew who was born up there in North Carolina. Samuel Holston. Served his U.S. Special Forces in Afghanistan. He just finished last year his third tour of duty, a Ranger. So he's on reserve still, but he's doing some studies that is, sponsored and paid for by his service that he did, and he's still on the reserve call. Of course, that type of service is much more secretive. We can't really talk about a lot of the things that he did, was involved in, or even when he's there. So, of course, he can just tell his dad he's here, he's at home, like my nephew. So. And my grandniece, Natalie, is still serving. And she had the distinction also of serving in President George W. Bush's White House for 3 months. She was seconded there to serve as U.S. Marine Sergeant. And so forth. Again, that was a kind of type of lasting thing that she can't show pictures of it, not with the President and so forth. But proud to have known that Emmanuel served in the White House. And I'll try and get in touch with Mr. Loxley, with her, and see if she ask Mr. Loxley for information. If she'd like to come out. She's been out several times. She was here for Christmas before last. Loves coming out. If you might want to come out to that, the special status thing. What you're talking about there about the idea of independence and so forth.
Yes, sir.
My opinion, not going to make any difference here or there. And so I'm not going to give it, but I just like for us to know and understand. I hear people talking a lot about that. And it would be right, I suppose, to show people and go through what it would take. The adjustment, the complete diametrically opposed type of system to what we now have, because our MLAs would have full control. They would then be members of Parliament, no longer Legislative Assembly members.
Right.
And also, they would be in charge. So the civil service, number one, is all the senior people would have to be retrained to a certain respect before you do this. And you'd have to have a consensus before going to referendum that you're pretty sure that this is what the result would be, a yes vote, and all that. Those countries who did it more or less had that. But they also have to do what they call a pre-independence constitution, because you'd have to prepare the people for what would then exist. Our constitution for an independent Cayman wouldn't be relevant at all anymore. It wouldn't be relevant, none of it. So you'd have to redo your constitution. What they usually do is, like, take, for instance, the big island of Jamaica, which was a colony. They wrote a 5-year constitution, a pre-independent constitution from 1957, when it was obvious that the federation would not work. Jamaica and Trinidad was more or less going to be bearing all the brunt of the expense of carrying it on. And they opted to write a new constitution. And from then on, the British governor there, because I was going to schools there and all that, and I just started to get involved with that type of mindset of knowing what your government was all about. You taught lots of things in school. And the governor there from then on was mostly ceremonial. The British governor there, he only presided over ceremonial things from then on. It wasn't any direct involvement of control. And you can check this out too. But that constitution prepared them for independence. And I think Bermuda probably did copy that too. And they have written a 5-year constitution which was much more advanced. They still go by that than what we have. It gives them more autonomy. As we all know, we hear people talking about that. They have a choice with the 3 final people who are selected for the British governor down to that there to be sent there, and they can choose one of the 3, I believe. And also, they can't be given the nuclear option under normal circumstances. Right. I don't know what's going to happen with this thing that's about. And it's a lot more involved than we think. Totally more different type of thing. The people would have to be prepared. It's a lot more than I could say, and it wouldn't give me time to talk about it, and I wouldn't expect you to. But we have to think very, very carefully. You'd have to change, number one, systems of taxation. Of course, normal collections of things, customs, all that would remain the same. Licenses of cars, licenses of businesses, and collections of different taxes. You'd have to change up many things and many systems. You have a Minister of the Interior, and you'd have Minister of National Security, and also a Minister of Justice. And the courts would then have to change their very way of thinking, because the justices would be much more answerable to the elected representatives or the members of parliament. They would be. The police force, of course, would answer to a minister, and he could choose and who is police chief and get rid of who he wants to. That is their prerogative then, because they are supreme, the members of parliament.
If I may ask you, what do you think is the similar reticence on the part of the populace when it comes to being independent? Is it that they don't trust the locally elected politician?
The thing is this, Sterling Dwayne, I'll be frank, okay?
Yes, sir, please.
You've got to remember we are in a very, well, I'm real space here, Mickey, whatever it used to talk me, but to just use on frank with you. We are in a totally different situation. Number one, the indigenous Caymanians are a minority. We're a minority. Number two, the majority of the wealth doesn't lie at all with Caymanians or land ownership or so forth as valuable. And then we don't have any manufacturing base at all. Very, 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 very little to rely as a backup for providing excise taxes, so to speak, for goods produced and a proper tax base. And we don't have the unity at all. We are very divided people. This I'm just giving you my opinion. So I can, if you say independent from what? And for whom? And for what reason? What would be the driving reason to be independent? You'd have to have a real driving reason that could be supported by all the people to say, well, this is it. This is the final straw. I believe now we should go on our own. Let's write the 5-year thing, tell it, Great Britain, we're going, go around, and you get a consensus and see how many people think you should, and so forth. It's a very, very different situation that from what obtained in Jamaica at the time. And it would do people very well to sort of read up and go into that and understand the ramifications of making such a decision. Because, as I said, people are saying they're not ready. If you're not ready after 360-odd years or whatever, you'll never be ready again. And we once had a very self-ruled, self-governed system from 1831 till 1898. We more or less ruled ourselves. All the decisions that the two-part government made, the legislative or vestrymen, they became called after a while, and the justice of the peace would meeting on the same day in two separate rooms. The decisions that they made and the laws that they passed, they put them into effect themselves, using the Chief Justice as a de facto governor, so to speak. They're all Caymanians until 1898 when the British sent the first governor or commissioner down, Shedden Sanguinetti. So we had a time when we were like that. I don't know if there was any major problem that came about during that time. It's a different period in history, of course, vastly different. No cell phones, no radio, no TV, and no mortgages with banks or what we call mortgages or whatever, and so forth. But then people were still the same. You had to live, you had to eat, you had to provide for your sustenance for yourself and the economy for the country. And many merchants became quite well-to-do. So I don't know if there's any major problem why we handle our own affairs, so to speak, with the governor in Jamaica being the final say, which they really ever did step in. But there's lots more to people who know a lot more about that period than I do, who have delved into the history of it. But I have a smattering of knowledge of it and what obtained in Jamaica at the time, in 1938 riots and so forth. I have knowledge of that. There are books on it that help to set the course for what they would become. And but it's just as I say, it's a very, very different thing, and it's very involved. And we'd have to, as I said a while ago, what would be the driving force or reason for going independent? Who are we going independent for? And what are we going independent from? This is the point I'm making. If that makes any sense, I don't know. Others might have an opinion. Others might think I'm talking foolishness. But I stand by what I said. We have to give it careful thought. It's a big, big move. And so we should talk about it. And also, another thing no one seems to want to talk about, and it can happen to us. What if the British government were to take us under direct rule or place us under it? Because I see the possibility of that looming on the horizon. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, our listener.
Hey, thank you very much, sir, for taking time to share with us. And as you lays out some things, maybe it'll spark a thought or a comment from you. We invite you to call us, so please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Sometimes having a middleman is not a bad thing, especially when it comes to insurance. Do you know that when it comes to cost, ease, speed, and peace of mind, insurance brokers ranked higher than when customers buy direct? So, for all your insurance needs, call Fidelity Insurance. We're the middleman you want. Call us today at 949-7822. Fidelity. We're good for you.
King Sports Center's Art of Fun Summer Camp is back from July 3rd to August 3rd. Now in its 14th year, the Art of Fun Camp is ideal for kids aged 5 through 10 with activities from football, basketball, dodgeball, squash, rock climbing, arts and crafts, dance, singing, and more. Your child can stay cool while having fun in a safe and secure environment. For more info, email kings.brebanks@gmail.com. That's kings.brebanks@gmail.com or call 946-KING, like King's Sports Center on Facebook, and you can also find them on Instagram or call 946-5464. King's Sports Center, providing you with all your fitness, recreation, and relaxation needs.
Are you a beneficial owner of an ordinary resident company? If you own 25% or more of the shares, the voting rights, or have control of the board of directors, you are a beneficial owner. This means that by 30th June, government needs you to give them a few details about the ownership of your company. By providing these details, you'll stay on the right side of compliance. Don't worry. Filing with the registry is easy. Just log on to the Cayman Business Portal at cbp.ky and follow the simple steps. Again, visit cbp.ky to file your beneficial ownership information by the 30th of June. For more information, contact cignreg@gov.ky or help@cbp.ky.
I love face paint. What's it gonna be? I love face paint. I can't wait to see.
Looking for a friendly professional face painter for your next event? But look no further than Balloonimals 345, Bubbles and Giggles Face Painting Services. Call 917-7757 today. Miss Bubbles specializes in face painting and balloon twisting for various events such as children's birthday parties, corporate and cultural events, weddings, reunions, carnivals, Christmas shows, fundraising events, festivals, and much more. Book now at 917-7757 or email balloonimals345@gmail.com, or you can visit their website at www.balloonimals345bubblesandgiggles.com.
Balloonimals 345, Bubbles and Giggles Face Painting Services, coloring your life one smile at a time.
I love face paint. I can't wait to see.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. 1-800-534-TALK, toll free with the compliments of Flo, or 949-8037. Likewise, you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Or if you choose, you can send us your thoughts on our email, talktoday@candw.ky. Now, just looking at a couple of comments came in during the break following the last caller's sentiments in relation to, well, how would it benefit us? You know, this person right through sharing, what would it mean for Cayman if we were independent, if we looked at greater internal self-government, more autonomy? Some of you, without question, would say, hey, you know, it's time to paddle your own canoe. You can't live in your parents' house, whether it's in the basement or in the attic, whether you take over the whole house and you relegate them to somewhere else. You can't live under someone else's roof and be independent. You need to get your own place, not pay rent. Own it. Is that the perspective when it comes to a country going down a road path to independence? Would we have to follow the route as seemingly, historically, countries in the region in particular did, if we look exclusively at the former British colonies? Or are there other examples? Is there something else? Well, this person, as he writes through these things, and I was just reading, is asking the question, you know, what would independence mean? How would we pursue it? Would it be a case that, as he says, you know, it's often shared that a country who has a minister of justice are usually those without? 949-8037 or toll free at 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Here is a sentiment I want to share with our listeners that come through on our WhatsApp. That's 925-3261 if you want to join us on that platform as well. It says, hello, good day. Independence is a bad idea. It says, because if Jamaica had got independence from the UK, why are they still part of the Commonwealth realm with Queen Elizabeth II as its monarch and head of state? So her appointed representative in the country is the Governor General of Jamaica, an office held by Sir Patrick Allen. So Cayman people, independence will not help us. It will make us poorer. This is the sentiments of this listener. Thank you very much for sharing that view with us. Now, what about you? You sent something through that you want us to read? We'll do so. You want to record a voice note and have us air it and play it? We'll do that as well. For some, the idea that independence isn't just this thing that comes with this, political sort of ramifications and the titles and the authority as people are able to take up office and move about the country. Perhaps independence to you is economic as well. Perhaps it's the idea that independence is the ability of the people to think freely and to act with a sense of freedom of conscience. Now, is it that we're distrusting of the systems to date? Are we distrusting of the players in those systems? Do we believe that if we were independent, we would not necessarily be better off economically, nor would we be better off socially? Is it fair that there'll be continuing abuses? As I read what this person has shared, he alleges that there are many in the country who fear that certain behaviors never come to light, or whether they're illegal or not, or when they do, they're not dealt with as other similar behaviors are dealt with. Fear was, as I interpret what he's sharing and paraphrase, certain people find favor in certain quarters because of who they are or what they're prepared to do in return for that concession. He says that for us to truly consider independence, maybe we need to set a path, but not one that will occur in 10 years or 50 years, but much longer down the road. And he says 3 reasons why that is. First, the fact that the public and our people need to be better prepared and educated. He says secondly, and perhaps more importantly, given the changing social cultural landscape, we need more time for the populace to integrate. He shared that there's growing division amongst the many sectors in our society. We've granted status, for the last 15 years or so. We're not quite, as he puts it, quite prepared to accept that there's growing division amongst those different sectors. And then the third thing he says is that the country doesn't have the economic base that it once had. So we need time to rebuild that, to create other pillars, to give that new independent nation a greater sense of, success. So what is your view? He says independence, but maybe independence down the road, 100 years, he says. One, to give us time to educate the people, give us a chance to integrate, and then the third thing, to have a greater sense of, an economic platform. 949-8037 or toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. If you choose and you want to send us your sentiments by email, well, email talktoday@candw.ky. Either way, you can share with us your views and give us your thoughts as you choose. 949-8037 or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. We also had someone sent through some thoughts earlier, and we were trying to sort of go through it to see, so back and forth with the exchange, how much of this is, not just information that will be of value sharing, but is actually shareable in this format. Looking at it, promise you can guide us. The person sending it through has asked, why is it that in recent times we're hearing more and more of those individuals who are at these children's homes escaping, absconding, running away? Is it, as the person puts it, that they're being mistreated? Is it, as the person puts it, well, these people not necessarily care to be subject to their rules and regulations, so they want to be out with their friends where there are no controls, no structure, and so they just run for a while. But the person asks the question, irrespective of what it is, what are we doing as a country to address it? We're seemingly not willing to acknowledge that this thing is happening and to do anything. We hear nothing from, seemingly, as this person puts it, from the different government agencies. There isn't an outcry from the community. So quiet in all fronts. Now, this is the part that was a bit telling. The person puts forward the notion that, are we prepared? And I hope, in paraphrasing this and sort of repeating it in this format, it does not change what the person was trying to say. If it is, then let me know. But the person is saying that in other parts of the world, have we become so accustomed to just turning a blind eye to so much that that's the same what's happening here, that we are looking at this and considering that there is this element of it that we conclude is a throwaway society. We don't need to pay attention to that segment because, well, it doesn't affect us. The person shares that these are young people. They are in our communities. They are affected by our communities. They are affecting our communities. God forbid, as I interpret what this person is sharing, something tragically happens, as we've seen in many instances, where this person is sharing through a few links where, missing children in particular end up with all sorts of, horrible scenarios. Now, are we willing to look at that and hopefully do things, as this person is sharing, to prevent that from happening? Now, what is your view? 949-8037. Now, as I look at what this person is sharing, I reflect on a comment some of you have shared. Many times we think of the story of the boy that cried wolf, and we have to be careful that we don't become so willing to ignore the things that are very obvious before us. Now, many of us probably do not know the circumstances, do not know the full story. The question is, for those who do, is that being shared, and is it being acted upon? And if not, is there support to make sure that we're doing something about it? 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Or you can email talktoday@candw.ky. As we get ready to pause and take our break, share with you, the opportunities to be a part of our discussion. 949-8037 or toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. You can always email talktoday@candw.ky, or likewise, you can WhatsApp 925-3261. It is a Monday. We're in the height of a World Cup, so hopefully you're enjoying it. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Missing teenager Rosanna Redden has been located and is in good health. The 16-year-old from Bordentown was reported missing after she was last seen on June 9th at a residence on Logwood Way in Georgetown. Police today confirmed she has been found. No other details have been released. Meanwhile, police continue to appeal to the public for the assistance in locating 16-year-old Taj Yen of West Bay and 15-year-old Motisha Martin of Bordentown, who are yet to return home. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. Stock markets have fallen sharply amid fears of a further deterioration in U.S.-Chinese trade relations. Tensions in Germany's coalition government over migration policy added to investors' uncertainty. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones fell 0.6%, while the S&P 500 was 0.4% lower. A Walmart shopper has shot dead a gunman who shot a driver in the car park in a crime spree. Police say the suspect had tried to steal 2 cars and shot someone in a vehicle in Turnwater in the northwestern state of Washington. He is a hero, shopper Brian Adams told King 5 News about the unnamed civilian. And a statue of Cristiano Ronaldo that was widely mocked and left football fans scratching their heads has been replaced. The bronze bust of the Real Madrid and Portugal forward went viral, with people questioning its resemblance to the player after it was placed on display at Madeira Airport last year. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. You can WhatsApp 925-32621. Share with us your thoughts. And not recording any games today, so I've seen some of the outcomes thus far. Some of you who are cheering for a team may be disappointed, others may be as expected, celebrating. Well, let's see how the games continue as the month unfolds. Not the best of the games over the weekend, but hey, they played, and as I said, the ball is round and it bounces, and you never can tell where it may end up. Well, if you want to join us here, you can go online to YouTube and look for Radio Cayman, and you'll see us coming to you live as our engineer and Susan and all the others get us up and running in this platform. Change, they say, is inevitable. Change, they say, is good. Depends. Depends. Let's hear from you. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Now, as I'm looking at quick sentiment just now about independence, someone asked, what's my view on independence? Would I be willing to share? Yeah, it probably just might be. Do I do it now? It depends. Depends. But the question is to be asked, where are we in our country? And what are we looking at? When you were to type in the Cayman Islands into your favorite search engine, what comes up? As you type different things, the question that I keep wondering about that may not be not only isn't asked but isn't being answered correctly. Are we aware of how the little things that our own media, not just the international media, our own media is presenting the Cayman Islands? Are we as people conscious of how we are conducting ourselves? So when something that affects us, involves us, and is a negative thing, how do we respond to it? Are we ensuring that our people are always mindful that we expect the best of our own? We can hold others to high standards because we ourselves are being held to that high standard? Or is it that, we pretend it doesn't exist and we bury our heads in the sand and pray that it goes away? So if someone doesn't say anything about it, then obviously it can't be important. Well, just because they're not bringing it to our attention, it doesn't mean that they're not sharing it with others. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. And likewise, you can send us an email, talktoday@candw.ky. A couple of emails came through. This one says, let's just share with you a few of the thoughts beforehand. This email came in before, said it's a Monday. Many people don't appreciate that. Monday isn't just the start of the week for many. It's just a continuation of things that are past. For some, Monday is just that. Another day ending in Y. That means that we should ask. Now, this other emailer put forward the view that Cayman has tried to exercise his muscle on the world stage, only to be reminded that it's just a small fry in a very, very large global pond. Independence, this one says, is not only a bad idea, but would put this country back to its dark ages. Another person sharing a sentiment here says independence is long overdue, maybe ill-timed at present given the economic climate. But if not now, when are we going to talk about it? Hey, 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or toll free with the compliments of Flo, 1-800-534-8255. You can WhatsApp 925-3261. Sentiment here being expressed by one of our listeners, a simpler one that suggests that the public isn't prepared to stand up simply and solely because there isn't any overarching duty. This person expresses the view, as I read what they're sharing, expresses the view that it's still a game of one-upmanship. People who are being fearful of what and how they will be personally affected. It's no longer about, as I interpret this view, the greater good. The person is somewhat jaded, somewhat divisive, but our society isn't by any means unified. We have nothing that brings us together as a people, and we're not prepared to sacrifice for others. It reads, says, your earlier comments about the veterans and what they did during their times of service, that was a different era, a different time, a different people. Today's society shares none of those values and virtues. So unfortunately, we're all about me and self, no longer about you and country. Well, as that person puts that in quotation marks, is that just the view that we're no longer concerned about others? We're only looking out for number one, as this person types it. Your view, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255 or WhatsApp 925-3261. Likewise, you can send us what you were thinking as you want and type it through on our email. Let's go back to our phones. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, sir.
Sterling Dwayne, the thing I forgot to
Yes, sir.
mention there. Just to reply to that, the need for service will always be there. That
Yes,
is
sir.
evident. There are armies throughout the world, and Marines of different nations, the special forces, different nations. The predominant national force is the U.S. with its forces and with helping to keep the peace throughout the world, as we have done from time immemorial. Help them, and Great Britain to a lesser extent because of many things that happened in the last 2 world wars. And as we see what the world has turned to, and so forth. People need to read up and go back to the history of the United Nations and go back to what happened after the Second World War, and they get a much better picture of what obtains now. But you need to dig into that. And also, there was an all-black ranger, the only time ever in the history of the U.S., there was an all-black ranger regiment.
Yes, sir.
And, very few people know this. I didn't know this until 2 years ago. I'm a Special Forces, I'm a ranger who served for 15 years, did in Iraq and all over. He gave the book to me, the U.S. Army's first, last, and only all-black rangers. The second Airborne Ranger Company, 1950, I think it went to 1952, and it's written by one of the men who was not interested in reading. Very interesting reading. It shows you what came out of those conflicts, which are the UN conflicts, same thing in Vietnam. And the U.S., of course, was the predominant player by far in both conflicts, and Korean and Vietnam. So it suits, because when I hear people talking, it's obvious that they don't really know the history of the world, the military conflicts, and how they affected the whole life afterwards. I notice so it's very important that, and I wish more young people would sign up for the service, give them discipline instead of sitting on with a cell phone all day long, tick-tocking, even when you're trying to talk to them. Stop tapping, and the good and the very bad they can get from it also. But that's beyond my control now. There is an article by, I think it's a 4-part article by Professor, what's his name again? Livingston Smith. I'm trying to get it first.
Yes,
they reduced about the manumitted or freed slave, famous she was, Elizabeth Jane Trustee. And I've read about her and know a little bit about her. We also know she's a successful businesswoman and all that. We know about 1809. But the family, a very small family of her descendants, they live there in, well, I'm not sure what part of Bordentown. Bordentown, I still call it Bordentown, but I know it's split into 4 different parts now, districts. But
politically, yeah,
that are living there. And one of her great granddaughters, I think, would be her great. I'm well acquainted with, and there are others there that I don't know if they try to get in touch with them to find out what they might know. I think a few of them are aware, and one of their grandfathers used to tell them a bit from his grandfather about her, but he's passed away. They were telling me the other day, because I'm letting them be aware of this article in the Times, and it's a very, very interesting thing. But to delve into the personal part of it, maybe they could try to make contact with them, and get a little bit more the view of the personal aspect of the whole thing. I think this is an article that started out from a UK professor of history or sociology or something, but it's very interesting. Elizabeth Jane Trustee. She was owned by Elizabeth Jane Thompson, and how she bought her freedom, reinsured them. And it's very interesting that we dig back into these things and understand where we came from. I just like to suggest, and it would help people quite a bit. I know I've spoken of it before, radio. 2 paragraphs from a little article by Mr. Ian Fleming, written about Cayman when he came here 61 years ago. It is very important that people read those 2 paragraphs. It tells us what we were then, April 1957.
Yes, sir.
And what we would become, because he was spot on. Try and get hold of them. Mr. Fleming wrote the James Bond books. He was spot on in those two paragraphs, and it would explain quite a bit what we're talking about, independence, what we are now, and so forth. It would explain quite a bit in those two short paragraphs. He was spot on. What we were 57 April and what we would become now, what we, the people, would become. Caymanians. Thank you. I'll listen on.
Thank you very much, sir. And with that, perhaps we'll pause and take a final break, but we invite you to call us 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Likewise, you can send us your thoughts on our WhatsApp, 925-32621. If you choose, you can email talktoday@candw.ky.
Sometimes having a middleman is not a bad thing, especially when it comes to insurance. Do you know that when it comes to cost, ease, speed, and peace of mind, insurance brokers ranked higher than when customers buy direct? So, for all your insurance needs, call Fidelity Insurance. We're the middleman you want. Call us today at 949-7822. Fidelity. We're good for you.
The empowered woman. Performance-driven, strong-spirited. You need a ride to match your drive. Whether boss by day or mom by night, with lots of legroom and space for sports gear and other things. The new Ford EcoSport is built for you, and it's now on sale for only $22,000, saving you $2,900 off during That Motors summer sale. Stop by That Motors, where you can also save $3,000 off the new Ford Ranger XLT double cab truck. Just two of the many great deals going on now at That Motors on Walker's Road.
Kick off your summer at Celebrate Cayman Summer Festival.
Our people, our culture, our history, our heritage, our future.
Enjoy live music performances, local foods, arts and crafts, history and fireworks. Don't miss this enchanting evening, Saturday, June 23rd from 4 p.m. until midnight along the Georgetown Harbor Front. For more information, including vendor and participation opportunities, visit celebratecayman.ky. The Celebrate Cayman Summer Festival, Saturday, June 23rd. Admission is free, so come out and help us to celebrate Cayman.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen. Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. Call 1-800-534-8255. That's 1-800-534-TALK.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. It's open line 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Likewise, you can WhatsApp 925-32621 or send us your thoughts on our email, talktoday@candw.ky. I was looking, just quick short call during the break. Someone was sharing and said, it's unfortunate that as we look at Cayman and where it's at, it gave me a quick 30 seconds history. It says, talked to the veterans earlier and they said, yep, he didn't even realize it. This is 100 years since the end of World War I. They said, now we're talking of celebrating 60 years of our coat of arms, and yet as a country we don't seem to have developed a healthy respect, understanding and our desire to share with ourselves and with the world who we are. But he said, on the same hand, you're referring to what I asked earlier. If we Google, Cayman, we've been following the news, it seems that a lot of negative things are happening, affecting Cayman. Caymanians involved with different behaviors here and internationally. The Cayman Islands featuring very negatively on the international front. Something he said that we wouldn't have seen or heard in years past. Not because he says that we have it now, with this idea of everybody having access to everybody else's information, but it was a thing that our people behaved a certain way. when something went wrong, we dealt with it decisively. Now, as he hung up, as we come back from the break, he said simply, we're not the people we were. We're not prepared to stand and do the right thing in every circumstance. What is your view? And just so that you know, this fellow not only calls himself a Caymanian, I think he can quite easily demonstrate that if you're considered a Caymanian because your parents were Caymanian and their parents were Caymanian, well, he'll be able to go back a few generations. So he understands, he says, as he talked to his contemporaries, that we as a people no longer seemingly have that same resolve that our parents or that their parents had, that we no longer seem to be willing to champion. Now, he shares that just like it caused him in the past to maybe, fall out of favor with certain people because he took a particular perspective that was not necessarily one that they agreed with, the easy way out isn't always the best way out. What is your view? As he hung up, he said, our people need to be prepared to stand and fight for what, our forefathers believed in. What is your view? Do you agree with him? We're no longer that sort of people? Is it because, we're so busy? We don't care? Not enough of us? Things are the same everywhere else, so why should we stand out? What is your view? 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Or you can do what this person has just done. Email talktoday@candw.ky. As I read this email, the person says, good afternoon. Says Cayman, obviously, like many places, have changed. And change isn't always good, but it is inevitable. We have not embraced the change. We have not prepared for the change. And now that we're considering even further change, our people are increasingly displaced. We talk about, apologies for that. So we talk about the future and where our youth will be. What are we doing to prepare them? We're making it increasingly difficult. Are we making it increasingly difficult for them to get tertiary education? Are we giving them the tools they need now to succeed? Are we seeing sport or art or any opportunity as just that, an opportunity to happened to this email here, but okay. Are we looking at as such an opportunity to make sure that they are better, not just financially, but just better? And it types it in bold caps. Apologies to this person. I think it's probably how I got my screen set here. But as I reread this email now, do you agree with it? That we're not supportive of our students? That we're saying that they are the future, but we're not giving them the tools now? Just searching back to an email that had come through a few weeks back. And in that email was sent through, and the person said it's not for me to read on air or to take anything from, necessarily to share with the listeners. But I keep thinking back that as the person shared, given the person's background and the involvement, I was hopeful that I would have permission to share some of those things, because I think they were very insightful. And it's not knowing the person, but given what was relayed, it may be timely. Now, with that email and this just one, is it a case that we don't see that the things we're doing now, how significant and consequential they are, how they may cause not just the people today, but in 10 years or in a generation following to be affected by it? 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Toll free with the compliments of Flow if you so choose. 1-800-534-TALK, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Here's a sentiment here that was expressed. Person resent the email. It come through earlier, but it seemed, and I realized now as I sent it back, I said that accidentally hit send before they were finished composing. But this one is talking about the government's approach to education and some of the purported changes that are supposed to be coming down the pipeline relative to what we can expect from education. And I have shared that on one hand, it seems that the approach is to continue to put education as this thing that is talked about as being primary, but in fact isn't given the priority. This person writes that education isn't the idea of sitting before a class and giving, notes and taking a test. It's about being able to interact and engage with the public. It's about being able to put forward, certain things. Let's go to our phones. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today. Hello, good afternoon.
Sterling Dwayne.
How are you, sir? How are you today?
I'm listening to you.
Thank you very much for doing so.
Well, I do it every day, not because I don't call you.
I know, man. Thank you very much, though, sir. Very much.
I know you don't like when I listen, but that's all right.
No, you know what? You will be surprised how much I appreciate it.
Listen, I heard you saying something a while ago about how Cayman has changed about 60 years ago, this and that, and that. What we got to stop to realize, everything the Bible says going to happen, it is happening.
Yes, sir.
It is coming right through day by day. I ain't no first-class Christian, I ain't no preacher and so on, so, but I still know my Bible. And it is happening. Where you used to have people come around, help you on different things, and all this and that and the other thing, you didn't have all of this. 60-something years ago, 70 years ago, did we have all these flashing phones around here? All these flashing TVs? All these flashing, what do you call them, computers? No.
So that's the problem then. We have this change that we're not prepared for?
Right, because the Bible says you're going to be wiser or weaker.
Yeah, generational weak and wiser, huh?
Or anyhow you take it. But it is still happening because they don't have to go down the road now to look for you. They can call you, send you something on their computer, email or what you call it. They can send you a text, they can do anything, and they can still talk to you.
At the same time?
Same time, it is happening, sir.
So with that then, and there are many who would quickly share, as you said, that this is just a fulfillment of the scriptures, so nothing we do will change that. But can we be a nation that's better prepared, a people that is willing to take it full force but survive?
To take what full force?
This change that's happening. For instance, you talk about the technology. Given as an example now, we've been toying with putting TV in the studio for the longest of time, and the greatest of respect, it's not what I like, but it's not my call, right? So how do I, on a personal level, respond to it? Do I get better prepared and upskill in order to embrace this? Do I shy away from it? That's a very small, insignificant, almost inconsequential change that is taking place.
Is this something that you will have to deal with, or something you don't have to?
Oh, I'm going to have to deal with it front and center every day. It's going to be...
If you have to deal with it, face it and go on and find out about it.
Right. But is it that we don't prepare, as I listen to you and I'm hearing, we're not preparing our people for change, for progress, for the next step? The child who is in school and is going to be changing their class from this year to the next, are we giving that child the tools to move to that class? And is the child ready? Is the child able to read at the level? And even in an instance where the child can the child even be at a better level? Are we doing the things to make it better?
That would be for you to ask the Minister of Education. I can't answer that one.
Yeah, well, yeah, sorry, I wasn't asking you specifically. Yeah, you're right. But not even, with respect, not even the politicians, whether it's the education minister or the appointed civil servant in whatever capacity in the ministry, in the education department, in the schools. But what about our parents? What about our wider community? only, and that's just education, as significant as it is. But what about the coach that is starting some sport or playing one of those, established sports?
Yes, well, that's good. If you're going to start something like that,
Right.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I say what is happening is going to happen, and is no man with no money, no power, no way going to stop it.
What is it? Que sera, sera, eh? What will be, will be, huh?
Yeah, what is now what sera is what God said.
Yes, sir.
And that is one book that don't lie.
Well, I believe you in that one.
I have proven that.
And we mightn't like what it says, but it's true, huh?
Well, tough luck to that.
I appreciate it, sir.
You all have a good evening and keep up with the good work.
Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful afternoon as well. And to our listeners, thank you very, very much. What's that YouTube thing, Miss Susan? Tomorrow, if they want to join us, is it Business Buzz and For the Record and all the shows? What? Go to YouTube and type in Radio Cayman streaming live, or Radio Cayman something, and you'll see it there. And then she's reminding us to tell you to subscribe to it. I think it's for $5.99. You'll get all access. No, it's free. Send us your comments. It's a free thing. Boy, my people, they say my sense of humor is jaded at times. But yeah, so it's a free subscription. You got to subscribe to it. All right, so you go and you watch it. It's live. I think it's also archived. I don't even know. It's there. And tell us what you like. Susan will respond to you. And tomorrow, well, I thought today was Tuesday, but nope, it's just Monday. So tomorrow's Tuesday, then the day after is Wednesday. So more World Cup continues. And hope that you will enjoy the rest of today. Until tomorrow, be blessed.